Welcome to Development Book Club. Today we begin a new book, Facing Codependence by Mellody. Subtitle is What It Is, Where It Comes From, How It Sabotaged Our Lives. You should also note that she co-wrote this with Andrea and J. Keith Miller. We'll hop right in. I read through all the introductions just to sort of lay some groundwork for just this first video. This is the second edition of the book, and it begins with a note from Mellody. She mentioned a few things for us to look out for as we read through this book. At the center of facing codependency is, she says, the observation that abusive parenting creates a painful sense of shame, inadequacy, or superiority in children, which, if left unacknowledged and untreated, results in the prolongation of these wounds into adulthood and the possibility of unwitting repetition of the abuse that in parenting in the next generation. She continues, she says, in the last several years, I have noted that virtually all trauma results from either disempowering abuse or falsely empowering abuse. Abusive parents do one of two things in those cases, which the first one is they may shame their child into silence as a way of diminishing the parent's own external stress. The internalized shame, in this case, disempowers the child and no one sees it happening. Of the parents that may falsely empower their child, that happens by assigning the child adult roles in which the child is expected to perform assignments for which the parent should be responsible. There's either sort of a not enough or too much, maybe is one way to look at that. And that results in either feeling not enough or too much, or feeling grandiose, let's say is a word to describe it. One more distinction she gives us real quick is that there is such thing as appropriate shame. And this is a feeling that we get when we think another has seen us, when we are merely being humanly fallible, that is. Such as when we forget someone's name, or we are caught in a lie, or we fart in public, are examples. We are imperfect, and this feeling passes and leaves us whole still. So it's sort of a temporary thing. And then there's what she calls carried shame, which is not from our fallible behaviors, as listed above, but is introjected from a parental caregiver's abusive behaviors. Carried shame is re-experiencing past abuse in the present. Mellody then asks us to focus on, specifically as we continue here, how boundary practice is learned because developing healthy boundaries leads not only to a better life day to day, but to a spiritual life, she says, that gives us strength and faith for any challenge. There was additionally a few points I wanted to leave you from Andrea and J. Keith Miller, the co-authors, who says that the purpose of this book is to describe the disease of codependence as Mellody has seen it from the inside in hundreds of patients' lives, including her own. This will be done in two ways. Number one, we were going to describe the structures of this disease of codependence in terms of how it operates in everyday life and relationships. And number two, to point to a practical model that works in healing people who suffer with these symptoms. Also from the introduction, there's the idea that abuse takes emotional, intellectual, and spiritual forms, not simply physical. In fact, when we talk, Mellody says, when I talk about abuse, she now includes any experience in childhood, which is birth to age 17, that is less than nurturing. That's a bit controversial. So less than nurturing could be like forgetting something. Versus like actual physical or sexual abuse. She concludes the introduction, quote, "The secret to your recovery is to learn to embrace your own history. Look at it, become aware of it, and experience your feelings about the less than nurturing events in your past. Hug your demons, or they will bite you in the ass," she says. And I think that, so she wants to speak of abuse as anything that is less than nurturing. And I think that it's better to use that less than nurturing term as I think one that will return. Very quickly, symptoms of codependence. This is the very end here, then we'll stop for today. The relationship with oneself, she says, I believe is the most important, because when people have a respectful, affirming relationship with themselves, relationships with others automatically become less dysfunctional and more respectful and affirming. So start inside. She then gives us a list of 5 things that codependents have trouble with. And in the next video, we're going to really dive into these. And I will just list them for now. This is codependents have trouble experiencing appropriate levels of self-esteem, setting functional boundaries, owning and expressing their own reality, taking care of their adult needs and wants, and experiencing and expressing their reality moderately. We will dig into more about what does it mean your own reality, and what does it mean to express reality moderately. Dysfunctional, less than nurturing, abusive family systems raise children that become codependent adults. Let me say that one more time. Dysfunctional or less than nurturing or abusive family systems, they raise children that become codependent adults. We will dig into that list of 5 next time.